G'day everybody. Is this the contradiction that seems to get overlooked, or is this a real contradiction that we just don't want anyone to know about? Well, before the Tower of Babel, how many languages were there really? Was it just one? Because everybody says it's one, the Bible says it's one. Or were there already lots of languages before? I want to get into this. Is this a contradiction, or is this something deeper? Right, my name is Craig. This is Morning Star Quest, where we are delving and just journeying through the Bible, one question at a time.
And don't forget to subscribe, because we're about to uncover something fascinating.
How many languages were there before the Tower of Babel was built? Can you just go through what is the Tower of Babel first?
The Tower of Babel is a story from Genesis where humanity, speaking one language, decided to build a tower to reach the heavens. God saw this and confused their language, scattering them across the earth.
Talking about Babel and whatever, we've got 439 contradictions that we're going through of the Bible. 439, that sounds like a lot. What are we up to? Number 44, are we? 45.
Right, it's a big list, and even better, number 45. What's the contradiction for this one?
All right, so how many languages were there before the Tower of Babel was built? Now, we've got Genesis 11:1, 11:6-9, as opposed to Genesis 10:5, 10:20, and 10:31. Very specific verses, and we will definitely get into that. Okay, so when it comes to the Tower of Babel, there is the story that the whole world had one language, and then after the tower, God confused everybody's languages and they separated. So we've got Genesis 11:1. Now the whole world had one language, very clear, and a common speech. Then God sees what the people are building at Babel and says, hang on. All right. We can't continue that because in the original, where is it again? Yeah, in the original one, we've just got 11:1. So we're not going to get into what he says, but the whole world has one language. Then it is the Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. So it is very clear that at this point in time, there was one language and God confused everybody's languages and separated them. And now we've got plenty of languages. And even furthermore, we've got Genesis 11:9. That is why it is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth.
So it sounds like the key question is whether Genesis 10 implies multiple languages before Babel, right?
Well, yes. Now, this is where it does start to get a little interesting. So, Genesis 10 is before Genesis 11. So, 11, Babel happens. But before, we've got this. So we've got Genesis 10:5. From these, the maritime peoples spread out into their territories by their clans within their nations, each with its own language. This is before Tower of Babel. This is Genesis 10. Babel is in Genesis 11. So what's happening here? These are the sons of Ham by their clans and languages in their territory and nations. And Genesis 10:31. These are the sons of Shem by their clans and languages. They've got languages way before the Tower of Babel.
So it seems like there's a chronological puzzle here. Do these earlier mentions of languages contradict the Babel story? Or is there another explanation?
Well, I think the problem here is we pick one verse and then we pick another verse, and when they have those two verses together, they seem to be contradictory. You know, we've got here, they've got those, and then we've got the Genesis 11 ones where they say, as of Genesis 11, everybody split. But then Genesis 10 is saying, well, there was languages before.
Right. So the question becomes, how do we reconcile these two chapters? Is there a way they complement each other?
Well, the thing is, we don't have to do anything to them. You might be surprised by that.
Intriguing. So you're saying the apparent contradiction might not be one at all?
No. See, the thing is, and this is where people get unstuck, is they think the Bible is a chronological order, even within itself. Like, let's just look at Genesis itself. It is telling
A thematic approach rather than strict timeline?
all thematic, yes. It is more of a theme. So Genesis 11 is definitely talking about the Tower of Babel and that story. But Genesis 10, even though it's before, it's actually telling a story, not necessarily before, but it's actually kind of at the same time. Genesis 10 is just telling you all of this stuff. And if I can go back to it, like from the maritime peoples spread out their territories by their clans and within their nations, each to its own language, this is happening after the Tower of Babel. Even though this is giving you a list of Genesis 10 is before Genesis 11, we know that it is happening at the same time. Concurrent stories.
So Genesis 10 is like a broad overview and Genesis 11 zooms in on a specific event?
Yes, and this is where people come unstuck, because in Genesis 1 and 2, people say, oh, the order of, the 7 days of creation or 6 days creation, the order of that in Genesis 1 is different to Genesis 2, but it's because we zoom out and then Genesis 2 zooms in. And this one is, again, Genesis 10, we have zoomed out, we're getting a full picture of the story, and then we kind of reset the cameras and we go in and we see the story start again, but in Genesis 11, and we're now in a closer story. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So it's about perspective shifts within the narrative. Each chapter serves a different purpose, complementing each other.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. These are not contradictions. This is not a contradiction because it is the same story, just told twice. People in movies, how many movies do this? I kind of feel like nearly all of them do.
Totally. Movies often use flashbacks or multiple angles to deepen the story. Same idea here, right?
Well, exactly. And it's like having a flashback at the beginning of the movie and then it says, 2 months earlier, this is what it is. This is not a contradiction, not even close.
So understanding the narrative technique helps resolve apparent contradictions. It's all about context.
And I would say it's not even an apparent contradiction because it is a non-contradiction. So this is busted. I want you to know that each and every week, Contradiction Tuesday, we're going to be knocking these on the head each Tuesday, and they're so fascinating, and I want you to join me. And so click on one of those over there so that you can also join me. Subscribe, and let's get into it. Go do something awesome. Forgot, and I'll catch you in the next one.